Alright, folks, looks like New York Film Critics Circle Awards just wrapped up. And to my surprise, Carol has taken 4 awards. I was just doing the numbers on this, and I was looking, because New York Film Critics Circle Awards, usually they're a little sporadic with their number of awards per film. And the last time that a film took this many awards was No Country for Old Men 8 years ago. So it's been a little while here. All right, yeah, so Carol is our Best Picture winner here. All right, we're going to look at, and by the way, I think with New York film critics, they traditionally, especially compared to yesterday when we were talking about the National Board of Review, New York Film Critics Circle's usually more on the pulse of what's going to win Best Picture. See, they haven't been right, though. That being said, they haven't been right for the last 3 years. The last time they were right was The Artist. Before that, Hurt Locker and No Country for Old Men. And you have to go back to Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, and then you have to go all the way back to Schindler's List before that. Let's see, yeah. So yeah, when it comes to Best Picture, they're sometimes they'll go with a more artsy choice. Sometimes. Last year they went with Boyhood, for example. Actually, 2 years ago they went with American Hustle. Year before that, Zero Dark 30. Yep. So Carol took Best Picture and Director Todd Haynes, who I do not have predicted at the moment. Certainly in the last few weeks, I've been really kind of underestimating Carol in my predictions. I've only got it down for 5 nominations, and Best Picture isn't one of them. I have it down for Best Actress, and I have it winning Best Actress actually for Cate Blanchett. I have Rooney Mara winning for Supporting Actress. I have it getting in for Adapted Screenplay, and it did pick up at New York here Best Screenplay. Then I have it for, I think, costume design and production design. I believe those 5. And it also picked up, surprisingly, I think, the award for cinematography here. So that's the 4 that Carol won. Once again, picture, director, screenplay, and cinematography. So, yeah, I'm kind of surprised because I had Kate, I think I had actually for Best Actress, Charlotte Rampling in there, but I was like, well, if it's not going to be her, then it's probably Cate Blanchett or somebody like that. And as it turns out, they went with Saoirse Ronan in Brooklyn. And I actually had Brooklyn as like maybe a second or third pick for Best Film, actually, because I was like, well, it's New York Film Critics, Brooklyn, it makes sense. So I was thinking, I was like, well, they might go with the film, or maybe they'll go with her. So I had her as the third place, after Cate Blanchett and after Charlotte Rampling, who I had winning. Yeah, when it comes to Best Actress, while we're on the topic here, let's see, they went with a very artsy choice last year with Marion Cotillard. Usually when it comes to these, if say an actress like that is in more than one film, in a leading role, they'll list both films. For example, they had The Immigrant and 2 Days, One Night last year for Marion Cotillard. Let's see, just in the last few years, they've been right twice. Let's see, they had Cate Blanchett for Blue Jasmine. That turned out to be true. And then Margaret Thatcher, Iron Lady. I couldn't think of what it was. The Iron Lady, here we go, I found it. Meryl Streep in 2011. And yeah, again, sometimes they'll go with the more artsy choice. Like especially a few years ago, they went with Rachel Weisz for The Deep Blue Sea, which went nowhere from there. They went with Sally Hawkins quite a few years ago for Happy Go Lucky, which I believe was in the running but didn't quite make it for Best Actress there. So I would say, if anything, this solidifies that if anybody was, and since this Best Actress race is kind of is really turning into a head scratcher because we don't know how Rooney Mara or Alicia Vikander, how they're going to turn out, if they're going to be lead or supporting. Still a question, and I like I said in an earlier video, I don't think we're going to have that answered fully until we get to Oscar morning, unless we have an announcement from who's the company behind Carol? Let's see here. I think it's let's see, distributed by Weinstein's. Okay, it is the Weinstein's behind Carol. I couldn't remember if Weinstein's were behind it or not. I wanted to say Focus at first, but I was like, nope, that's not right. Um, Unless the Weinsteins come out and announce in the next, I'd say, week, it would have to be very quickly that they're going to change, and Rooney Mara is going to go in, and she and Kate Blanchett are going to go into lead. But until we get that, I would say, yeah, look for a back and forth there, maybe between them. So I would say, yeah, our locks for sure in Best Actress, I would say before now, before Saoirse won this morning, would be definitely Kate Blanchett, definitely Jennifer Lawrence, definitely Brie Larson, and I would say before then definitely Saoirse Ronan, but less significantly. Definitely, I think those three are locks no matter what. I think now we can add Saoirse Ronan to that. So now that becomes a question of, okay, what's going to happen to that fifth slot? Are they going to, will either Rooney or Alicia get in there, or will like Charlotte Rampling still get in there? Maybe Carey Mulligan. I'm trying to think who else. I think those are the seven or hang on, that would be seven. Yeah, I think those are the seven or eight. Eight. It would be eight that I think we can really count on. Otherwise, I don't really see way too many people sneaking into the race. I think those eight are pretty solidified. And again, it could be those seven once or six once we figure out what happens with supporting actress. Turning to Best Actor, they had we had quite a stir here. Michael Keaton, really, for Spotlight? Well, yeah, he's not going to be in lead for the Oscars, that's for sure. And I don't think he's. And the by the way, Spotlight. All the actors in Spotlight are going to be supporting in their supporting races. So Keaton, Ruffalo, and the whole rest of the guys there are all going to be vying for one or maybe two of those spots, as I'm predicting two. And that leaves, I think, the only really actress from the film that really has a shot of getting in is Rachel McAdams, all alone in supporting actress. But and I think that would only happen really, I think at this point if both Alicia and Rooney, or at least one of them, was ended up in lead. But we'll again can't decide that yet. So I think this can't do anything really but help Michael Keaton out though. But having seen Spotlight, I would very heavily disagree with their choice here for Best Actor, as in leading role. Definitely, I think I thought Ruffalo had a greater presence. Probably, and I did take a stopwatch to the movie, but probably a little more screen time, a little more dialogue than Keaton's character. But that doesn't mean Keaton isn't one of the main figures. I definitely think he's the second most important character in the movie after Mark Ruffalo. But and then again, we do look at their choices here. Again, they do sometimes go with artistic choices here. Like their last winner that they got right at the Oscars was Daniel Day-Lewis and Lincoln a few years ago. Before that, they went with two who, and the past 2 years, they've gone with people who have not been nominated: Robert Redford and All Is Lost, and Timothy Spall and Mr. Turner. And I think it was that damn Timothy Spall vote last year that was really getting me to go with Charlotte Rampling to get that Best Actress thing. But yeah, sometimes we'll see that, and then looking here at their past history too, like Colin Firth won here for King's Speech. They got 3 years in a row for Forrest Whitaker, Daniel Day-Lewis, and Sean Penn for their respective wins. And that was actually, Forrest Whitaker was the first time they were right since Shine, Jeffrey Rush. So that was a decade of, they went with, just to name off a few here, Daniel Day-Lewis and Gangs of New York instead of Adrian Brody. Bill Murray instead of Sean Penn. Let's see. One of the more interesting ones was Tom Wilkinson instead of Russell Crowe, or not Russell Crowe. Sorry, Denzel Washington. But then again, Denzel was kind of iffy between those three really. Wilkinson, the winner, Denzel, and then Russell Crowe. For Beautiful Mind. Richard Farnsworth won for The Straight Story instead of Kevin Spacey, American Beauty. Nick Nolte won, but then again, that was a different race there. Affliction, he won there, but in the end, it was Roberto Benigni for Life is Beautiful. Yeah, all right. Yeah, we've spent enough time. Yeah, like I said, I don't think. Yeah, we're definitely not going to see a category change here for Keaton. I think Best Actor, as it is starting to get down to that thing of okay, we've got our, we've got 5 picks and we're pretty confident in them. So it take him, and boy, I'm starting to think it would really, it would take a little bit to get him into that race solidified. So, all right, we'll move on here. For supporting actor, they went with Mark Rylance for Bridge of Spies. Oh, it's kind of a nice surprise, actually, because I think he's definitely, I think, very safe, in a safe position to be nominated, alongside Keaton and Ruffalo for both for Spotlight, I should say. And I think, yeah, these three I think are very, very, very safe choices. I think we're not seeing any love yet for Idris Elba, none for Tom Hardy yet. De Niro's been left off everything. Yeah, so we're starting to get that sense of, well, these three are pretty safe bets, but what about the other 2 slots? And like I was saying earlier in the last video there, boy, we're having lots and lots of trouble trying to figure out, like, we have like maybe 12 or 13 guys that we can count on as in the race, and if only 3 of them, that leaves 9 people for 2 slots. Oh, wow. I'm starting to think maybe, especially if we're not going to see Idris Elba, maybe that was the Netflix effect of Beast of No Nation, how it was only streaming on Netflix, not really a big, didn't do well in the theater. I think it only made like $30,000 or something, or it did very poorly in the theater, mainly because everybody saw it on Netflix. And while that's probably, of the supporting actors this year, my favorite performance thus far that I've seen, boy, it's gonna be really tough to see him get left off. But Sylvester Stallone won yesterday for National Board of Review. Yeah, I'm starting to think maybe he is a much bigger threat than we definitely than we once thought. Supporting actor, they're usually pretty good at this, actually. They went with J.K. Simmons last year, who won, Jared Leto the year before. They kind of more or less helped in starting The Reconnaissance in 2012, and they gave him supporting actor for his work in both Magic Mike and Bernie. Great performance in Bernie, by the way. Let's say they've gone with like Christoph Waltz, Javier Bardem in the past. Let's see here. Benicio del Toro won here for Traffic. I think, yeah, but then again, like I say, they do sometimes have these weirder choices in there. They went with Albert Brooks for Drive a few years ago, which didn't go anywhere at the Oscars. They went with Jackie Earle Haley for Little Children, nominated, didn't win. Probably one of their weirdest ones was Eugene Levy for A Mighty Wind in 2003. And I'm trying to think. I don't think Eugene Levy was. I don't know if he got in anywhere else that year. I don't think, definitely not like a Screen Actors Guild or a Golden Globe or anything. I'll have to just triple check this here. I'm pretty sure he. Yeah, he didn't. Well, just an Indie Spirit Award, but that was for the screenplay to A Mighty Wind instead of anything. Well, he did get, I guess, the Critics' Choice Award there for Mighty Wind, but that was for Best Song. So yeah, so that, I think that's one of their weirder choices for sure. All right, and whoops, I closed down the wrong thing there. Moving on to a supporting actress, they took another turn here, and they went with, again, somebody I wasn't really suspecting, and that was Kristen Stewart for Clouds of Still Maria. I believe that's how you pronounce it. And, yeah, this is I think Kristen Stewart, I think early on, because the film was I believe at Cannes, was where the film, or it was shown at Cannes at least. And, yeah, I think it really lost steam after that, if it was going to be in the race at all. So yeah, to see her come back at least a little bit here and take up an award here, this might be another case of of just an odd pick. Yeah, when it comes to supporting actress, yeah, New York, they do all right. Patricia Arquette won here last year. You have to go back to Melissa Leo won for The Fighter, Monique, Penelope Cruz the year before, uh, Jennifer Hudson for Dreamgirls. Let's see, they went with Sally Field a few years ago, Jennifer Lawrence for American Hustle. So, yeah, they're kind of scattershot when it comes to that. Um, let's see, what else can we talk about here? Oh, Best Director, by the way, Todd Haynes for Carol. When it comes to their track record here for director, they're kind of, again, they had a little bit of a period there where they really got it down. Like they got Clint Eastwood, Ang Lee, Scorsese, and the Coen brothers there 4 years in a row for like Million Dollar Baby through No Country for Old Men. But the last time they were right was The Artist with Michel, however you pronounce his last name. It's quite a tongueful. Anyways, they went with Linklater last year, Steve McQueen the year before, Catherine Bigelow for Zero Dark 30 before that. They've gone with like Mike Lee before for Happy Go Lucky. And maybe I should have put Todd Haynes in first because he did win here for Far From Heaven in 2002. And I believe Far From Heaven also went on to win. Did go on to win Best Film here. And yeah, with Carol though, yeah, like I said, the last time they won here and they agreed with the Oscars was The Artist, 2011 for Best Film. Otherwise, like I said, Boyhood, American Hustle, Zero Dark 30, stuff like that. So yeah, so some interesting developments here, I think, through and through. Oh, we should also talk about. We mentioned cinematography and screenplay there for Carol. Animated film went to Inside Out. No real surprise there. I think. Anomalisa maybe was potentially a more likely pick here. Son of Saul won Best First Feature. I think that's going to go on to be at least nominated. It might win. At least nominated for foreign language film. So, and I believe that won something yesterday too. So that's at least it getting something here. That means that's in good shape. So yeah, I think definitely that this will help solidify. I think. Three of the actors here, Keaton, Ronan, and Rylance for sure. I think this will probably, well, I don't think it'll, totally make us change our minds on whether or not Spotlight's going to win just on this one win here. But, yeah, especially now that Carol, man, I'm starting to really consider putting that one in for Best Picture. So yeah, let's see here. Obviously we could go through a whole list here of films that they didn't pick anything for, like The Revenant didn't get anything, Joy didn't get anything. Oh boy, we could. Let's keep going here. What else do I have for Best Picture here that got left out? Totally. Steve Jobs didn't get anything. The Martian was left off the list of everything. Room. Hateful Eight didn't get anything. Yeah, I think, definitely we've seen some disappointments from The Revenant so far. But then again, Revenant, and Birdman didn't really get these critics groups last year. That was more, Boyhood or in the case of National Review, A Most Violent Year, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, like I said yesterday, Mad Max, don't start putting that in. It's not. At least I don't see it going anywhere. In the especially Best Picture race or anything like that. Yeah, I think Keaton. I would say for sure. Yeah, start counting him in if you haven't already. At least to get nominated. I know, like I said earlier, supporting actor is kind of a minefield of great contenders in there to be nominated, but you have to whittle it down to 5, and that's going to be tough. Definitely, yeah. If you're not counting on Saoirse Ronan yet, put her in, and Mark Rylance too. Make sure you got him in there too. So yeah, we're not seeing much yet of a Leo Fassbender standoff yet for Best Actor. Haven't seen or Eddie Redmayne to creep up in there, or maybe Johnny Depp to creep in there to throw in their ring into the into the circle there. To throw their hat into the ring. That's what I meant. One of those expressions. Um, yeah, so I think we're gonna have to wait till we get to L.A. Film Critics Awards before we finally see. Well, I shouldn't say finally. Matt Damon did win yesterday for National Board of Review, but and I do have him in to get nominated. But I'd say yeah, we're gonna have to wait until L.A. to see. Okay, what else are the critics groups thinking here for Best Actor? Um, yeah, so I think yeah, especially yeah, if Alicia and Rooney Mara get left off of supporting actress and they end up in lead, maybe Kristen Stewart could start sneaking in there to supporting actress races. Like maybe like a Golden Globe nomination next week would be a very big help. A SAG nomination next week would be huge. Um, Actually, you know what? I'm starting to think now that Kristen Stewart, she's kind of in that position of that last year Jennifer Aniston was in for Cake. A film that not a whole lot of people have seen. An actor who has been associated negatively with something else. In the case of Jennifer Aniston, it was kind of being that TV star, the whole Brad Pitt thing. And that transition into serious actors was kind of it's something you have to get over. Here, I think with Kristen Stewart, definitely Twilight effect and all that. Still something that she has to get over. And I don't think that just a nomination here at SAG or Globe would be enough. She has to, I think, finally get that Oscar nomination before she really leaps over that and gets into the consideration for like serious actor. I think Jennifer Aniston is much closer to that than Kristen Stewart at the moment. But yeah, definitely a SAG and a Golden Globe nomination would really push her forward into the race. And we didn't really see Jennifer Aniston coming, really, from last year at either SAG or Globe. So, yeah, I think she's starting to get into that spot there, potentially. Yeah, so, yeah, I think I guess that's about all I've got to say on that. Like I said, LA Film Critics Awards are coming up on Sunday. Looking ahead after that, I think I've mentioned it before, but I'll say it again, partially to remind myself too, that the Screen Actors Guild nominations, which are the first really huge, first really big nominations lists for okay, what's coming up. That's on Wednesday of next week. That would be December 9th, a week from today, and Golden Globe nominations are the same day, or not the same day, sorry, the same week, the next day, on Thursday, next Thursday the 10th. And let's see, I don't think there's anything else for this week. Yeah, it's all next week. And then the week after that, we'll get a few more things. Next Monday, or in a couple Mondays, the 14th, the Critics' Choice Awards nominations are announced. And then it looks like that's okay. That's going to be it for that week. But yep. So definitely, I think Screen Actors Guild and Golden Globes are going to help a little bit with determining okay, who's our who's going to be our potential spoilers here that we haven't really been talking about yet. Like maybe a Kristen Stewart or or an Idris Elba or okay, for supporting, and then for like lead, maybe a Charlotte Rampling can get in there, or a Lily Tomlin. Maybe for lead actor, a Michael Caine, or somebody like a Bryan Cranston, Ian McKellen, maybe Michael B. Jordan, Tom Hanks. Maybe could get a couple slots here. And those, yeah, like I said, those will definitely help us determine okay, who's really getting close to getting in, who's really, getting pushed away. So yeah, once again, 4 wins for Carol, Best Film, Director, Screenplay, and Cinematography. And we have Keaton winning Actor, which, yeah, okay, will help him in supporting, but doesn't really help us in determining if Leo is really pushing ahead or not above Fassbender. Saoirse Ronan for Best Actress, so that'll definitely help her a little bit at least. Supporting actor Mark Rylance, that'll help him. And Kristen Stewart, Clouds of Silmaria, might be a sign for a Jennifer Aniston in the making compared to last year. And then, again, she'll have to definitely hope and pray that both Rooney Mara and Alicia Vikander get into that lead category. and that'll help her get nominated at Oscar. All right, I think that's all I've got. So once again, I probably won't do anything till Sunday then, till after LA Film Critics are their winners are announced.